at least you'll know who, when, and what time somebody accessed the building. So.
And what I see is like, I saw it in one apartment, like there are like numbers, like a phone in the door. So you just like go on the code.
Look at the code, yes.
That's usable too.
That's okay. So now let's think about what the world just went through the past couple of years with COVID. Do you want to be touching a keypad now that 10 other people during the day have been
right now? No, I don't want to touch it.
So again, that's one thing that we're seeing here again in New York City is that a lot of buildings are changing over to these card access because everybody has their own specific card. So you're not touching anything. You swipe the card, or the doors automatically open, so you're not touching stuff, which is obviously a big concern in the world today. So that's a definite benefit to what's going on there. All right. So now we also have, let's talk about the apartment buildings again. So in addition to your main doors to access the building, if you have a multi-story building, you're going to have a alternate means of exiting the building, which might be a fire stairs or a back staircase or some type of staircase. If you're coming down from the 8th floor and you walk down 8 flights of stairs, all of a sudden you come to a door to the exterior, how do you get out of that door? Okay, they're going to have what's called a exit device. An exit device is going to be a push bar that you actually have to manually push.
Oh, we got that.
The latch. Okay, because if you're on the outside of the door trying to come in that door, you don't want that door always open, that somebody could just open that door. Yeah. So this push bar will activate or deactivate the lock so you can get out of the building. And that's a code requirement here in New York City and most of them, or actually probably all of America, that you have to be able to egress a building in case of an emergency, or just you want to get out of the building. You need to be able to get out of the building. But meanwhile, the building owner wants to make sure it's secure. So you'll have a push bar that deactivates the lock, but when the door closes, it reactivates the lock and it locks back into place. So that way anybody outside can't get in.
Yeah, when I was in John Dewey High School, our school doors were like that too. When we're going out, we're pushing the thing, but when you're gonna come back, when you want to come back, you cannot go from that door. You have to go from the automatic door.
That's either manned or you have the key to get into. Correct. Yeah. So that's the point of those doors with a panic or exit device that you can get out.
We call those doors egress door.
Egress doors. So egress doors are important because two things. Number one, they're going to be a means to get people out of the building. Number two, they're going to be secure. And number three, most of the time, at least in these stairs, these egress staircases, they're going to be fire rated. Because again, we would also call these fire doors or egress doors. So again, you're going to see these in staircases that, in case the elevators are out of service, in case of an emergency, a smoke or a fire alarm, because generally the fire alarms are triggered to, if you have automatic doors, to automatically open the door so people can get out. All the new systems that I'm seeing now, the fire alarm systems are tied into the door system. So that way you have a fail safe mode. So if it's fail safe, if the fire alarm goes off, that means the doors automatically open if they're automatic doors. So that way people can get out rather than having a bottleneck of people trying to push and get out of the doors. Additionally, if you pay attention to this, all your staircase doors and all your main doors for an apartment building or an office building all open to the exterior, meaning that if you're inside the building, you're pushing the door outward. Picture if there was a fire or an emergency inside the building and you got to pull the door into yourself. Now you got people behind you pushing, you got people in your way as you're trying to open the door. And it's made to allow the flow of people to exit the building, hence the egress, to get out of the building. So by the door swinging out, even if you have a mob of people behind you rushing to get out at the same time, you're all pushing the doors out, they're pushing outward. So you're able to get out rather than trying to pull the doors inward and deterring the flow of traffic. So you'll always see an egress door pushing outward. And again, an egress door in a stair tower will always be fire rated. So that way, God forbid there's a fire, at least a steel door will have a fire rating to it. We'll have probably a 45-minute to 1 hour rating that the fire can't penetrate from the active side to the inactive side of the fire. So you would see a steel door basically as an egress door, and going with these panic devices or exit devices, so that way they'll push outward to allow you to get out of the building.
So we can say that like egress door is like an emergency door.
Correct, yes. But now your typical doors also, your storefront doors could also be considered an egress door, because in your local supermarket or your local store down in Main Street, how many doors does he have into his building or into his shop? Probably the one main door and maybe a back door to accept delivery. So then your main door to get into is also going to be considered an egress door, and hopefully it's going to be an outswinging door. So normally when you walk into these stores, hopefully they're either sliding doors that open left to right, or they're doors that you have to pull open to get in. So that way, again, God forbid there's ever an emergency or a reason you have to exit the building quickly, you're able to get out very quickly without being impeded by the swing of the door.
Okay.
So sliding doors also are going to be have a lot of flexibility with them. We can have 2 door leaves that open and close.
Yeah, that's what we see commonly.
Yes. So now we could also have multi-track sliding doors where you have the first 2 panels move and the second 2 panels move, and you get a much wider area. So generally, I normally see just the 2 doors that open up and give you about a 6-foot opening between the 2. But you may have an area where you want to have a bigger area, like such as maybe a restaurant or something like that, where in the wintertime they want to close everything, but in the summertime they want to open up and almost create like an outdoor cafe area, so they can open up the doors and give you a much bigger area. People can mingle in and out, and you're getting some terrace area or some cafe area where you can put tables. You're not impeding like a flow of traffic into the building, but you're still allowing for people to mingle, get in and out, while not impeding the main access into your restaurant.
I think like Walmart stores are like that. I think it opens like this and opens like this.
Yes, so that way again, so those would be smaller ones, but again, they'll allow you to get your shopping carts through.
Shopping cart, yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Maybe a couch or something out, so yes, you don't have a bigger door to get through that. What we also see occasionally, which would be an offshoot of the sliding door, is what's called a folding door. So similar to this, where we just talked about, like I said, with the Walmart, where you have multiple panels that open up in tiers, a folding door would be individual panels that would basically pivot into each other and then close all to one side. So you can do let's call it maybe a 20-foot wide opening, have 5 panels or 6 panels that are roughly 3 foot, 6 foot wide each, that fold into each other and all tucked to one side. So now all of a sudden you have this great giant big area where you can allow people to come in and come out to.
Yeah, they use that. Oh, I'm sorry. They use that door type in the cafes, when like the weather gets hot, they open it like this. Yeah.
Yes. And now I've seen them where you put all 6 panels to one side, or you put 3 panels one way and 3 panels the other way. But either way, you're going to create a large opening to allow people to come in and come out. Now, again, that's not going to have a lot of security to it. It's not going to have a lot of weatherability to it, because a lot of moving parts. Although it'll be in a track where you're going to have some type of weatherability, it's not as weatherable as a different type of door would be. But again, you're going for a specific application when you're designing or including one of these types of doors for a specific reason, to be able to open and create that large open area that you're looking at. So I guess then the performance of the doors are also going to be a concern to an architect. So we talked about a typical in commercial application, a storefront door with a rail around all four sides of the piece of glass, and it's inserted into a frame. The door leaf itself will have a weather stripping on it, and it will rest against a door stop. So you'll be able to stop airflow from coming through all four sides of your door because the door rests against a stop. And again, this is one of the details that I'll send to you so we can add up onto the video afterwards so people can see the different types of doors. By having the door stop, the door leaf, when it's in its closed position, rests against this door stop. It's got a bulb gasket where the door will seal against the bulb gasket, and it will stop, or it will help minimize airflow coming from the outside to the inside or from the inside to the outside. And we talked earlier about having a door saddle below with a piece of bulb gasket below it, which will seal the bottom of the door to the saddle down below. That's your basic type of storefront door. But now let's get better than that. So now let's just say you're on your 12th floor terrace and and you walk out, and you're having your coffee or your tea in the morning, you sit on your terrace overlooking the city.
Wow,
Okay.
that sounds great.
That sounds wonderful.
Looking down from Central Park.
Well, I'll tell you, when you're here in Manhattan, you're looking over Central Park, and some of these, it's beautiful to see. So, but now what happens when it rains? You don't want to hear whistling of wind coming through. You don't want to have water coming in. So there's a specialty type of door that a lot of window companies and door companies make, which is called a terrace style door. A terrace door would be everything that a storefront door would be basically be made out of aluminum frame, piece of glass in the middle, but it's going to have an increased or upgraded set of hardware to it. It's going to have a rating performance to it where these doors are actually tested in a laboratory where they blow air at it and measure how much air infiltrates from outside to inside. And they also squirt water or shoot water at the door while pressurizing the inside of the door system to see how much water, if any water, comes through. These doors, at least here in New York City, are rated by their performance, how much water they can withstand. So typically, you're going to want to see at least an 8-pound per square foot water infiltration performance on a door, up to 12 pounds and even higher. I've seen in some applications, but figure 8 to 10 would be the standard. And basically, what that means is they're going to shoot water at the door. Again, have a suction on the inside to emulate a wind or a hurricane force wind blowing and at the face of the door and measuring how much water comes in. And then they either do how many gallons per hour they do will give it its specific rating. So now these doors are going to be a little bit heavier, a little bit bulkier, maybe let's call the word chunky. So it's going to be a little bit thicker of a door, but it's going to give you, because again, if you're in your apartment, you don't want water coming inside on your brand new hardwood floors or your brand new carpet that you just installed, or right next to your antique piece of furniture that might be next to the door system itself. So you want to make sure it's going to be able to withstand the water. So these doors, again, will have a door leaf. It's going to have hinges. It's going to have a different type of lock. This lock and handle assembly will have what's called a multi-point lock assembly. Earlier we spoke about you put your key into a cylinder, you turn it, and a latch will come down and lock it into the frame, so that way it locks in there. A multi-point lock on these terrace doors, because now you're going to have the same weather stripping around a door stop, but now rather than just having the door rest against the water stop, the weather stripping and door stop, you want to make sure that that bulb gasket that's between the two compresses and you get a positive seal. So you're going to have what's called a multi-point lock. So when you turn your handle and engage this lock, you're going to have a rod that goes up, a rod that goes down, and a rod that goes in. So you're securing your door bottom, top, and center, or top, in the jam, middle in the jam, and bottom of the jam, depending on which manufacturer it is and how he does it. By doing so, you're now sealing the door. So if you have only a lock at one spot and you have a tall door and you're putting that pressure on it, that door may want to flex or bow. But by putting a pin here, and a pin down below, you're securing at 3 spots. So it's not going to have that opportunity, or a much less of an opportunity, to bend, flex, or bow. So it's going to have a higher performance by keeping more air out and more water out. So you'll see those. Again, it's going to be a much more expensive door, but it has a different application, and it's going to be a more of a high-end application that, an architect's going to want to ensure that these high-end apartments that people are paying a lot of money for.
So they won't care about the door. They'll give a lot of money to the door too.
Exactly. So now, on earlier discussions that we had on a previous podcast, we talked about glass with the sound transmittance of glass. The thicker the glass, or the more panes of glass, the different types of glass, you'll get a sound rating on it. So now, obviously, if a door is not sealed, fully against the frame, there's a gap there or air there, so more sound can come through. So by having this multi-point lock on a terrace door, you're sealing this door all the way around. So you're also increasing your sound transmission. So again, if you're above a busy street, or maybe you're above a restaurant down below on the ground floor, the second floor of the building, and you're on the third or fourth floor, by having a sealed door like this, that's able to be closed snugly and securely like this, you're able to deaden the sound as well also. So that's another benefit to having a terrace door.
That's great. I wish I got a terrace too.
Again, it's going to be a higher end door, but again, it does have its benefits to it, especially when you go higher up on a building.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. So we talk about all the door types. I think, did we miss one? No.
Yeah, we talked about aluminum doors, steel doors, PVC doors, wood doors. We talked about swing doors. We spoke about automatic doors, sliding doors, folding doors.
Revolving doors. We talked about all of them. Yeah, okay, so then my favorite is automatic door.
Definitely it is. Again, it's going to be the most applicable for for commercial application, especially on a high traffic area like you said, like a Walmart, because you think about how many people walk into a Walmart every day.
Yeah, and you're touching all about that. No.
So by having automatic doors, it's going to allow for an egress of people in and an egress of people out of the building. And again, people won't be touching stuff. And again, you have the safety factor for what's going on in the world these days, which is a whole nother story. But again, it's just allowing you to be able to do different things.
Definitely.
And again,
yes.
I think the hardware is going to be one of the ways that a architect can put a stamp on or help to put a stamp on a building. Because again, we talked about standard pull handles. Now, I'm sure you've probably seen on some higher end buildings, you've seen full height pull handles. And if you've got a 10-foot tall door, you have a 10-foot tall handle. And you say, gee, well, what's the sense of having a 10-foot tall handle? Nobody's going to reach way up here to try to pull the door. They're going to pull. You always see, that one area where it might be rubbed, to a different color, or smudged, right in that one area where most people grab. But again, it's the look of a door, because now it looks majestic almost by having this very tall door with a very tall handle. And you can make bronze, you can make fluted handles, you can put finials on the end, so that way it gives it some different looks to it. You can do different offsets, because obviously the door handle, you got to be able to get your hand around it and grab the pull bar. So those offsets, which bring the door pull handle off the door, are about 2 to 3 inches away from the door, so you can get your hands behind it. And again, those can be decorative. They can be the bronze. They can be stainless steel. They can be painted aluminum. Again, all different applications of what the architect might want to see for his building.
Yeah, you're right. And what I understand from all of these topics, like in the glazing, like in facade system, aluminum is the best equipment, I think, Like
It's
in the window types, we say like aluminum windows, and the door types we say aluminum. So it's more usable. I think it's more cheaper, and
correct.
I don't
And
know.
that's the thing. With aluminum, you're able to paint it, you're able to oxidize it, you're able to clad it. It's fairly relatively cheap compared to a steel door or a cladded door with bronze. It is strong enough for most applications for what you're looking for in like standard commercial use and high-rise use. So it's probably one of the most common that you would see out there. Yes.
So our best material in facade system is aluminum.
Yes. Which is why we're in the aluminum business. Yes.
I love it from now on.
Yes.
Okay, so Rich, thank you so much about your informations. I learned a lot of things again today. I hope everybody learned a lot of things too.
Great. I look forward to meeting again next week and speaking to our viewers again next week.
Definitely is. So see you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.